Robert, a billionaire whose name was synonymous with ruthless success, slammed his fist on the mahogany desk. His voice, cold as steel, echoed through the vast office. He was firing David, his assistant of 5 years, over a single misplaced decimal point in a report, a tiny error. Yet in Robert's world of perfection, it was an unforgivable sin. David, a man whose quiet competence had been the invisible engine of Robert's daily life, he packed his few personal items, his face a mask of weary resignation, and walked out without a word of protest. Robert felt a surge of satisfaction. Efficiency over emotion. That was his motto. That night, Robert tossed and turned. The silence of his penthouse, usually a comfort, felt oppressive. The next morning, he woke up feeling disoriented. His custom-brewed coffee wasn't on his nightstand. His suit, meticulously chosen for his morning meeting, wasn't laid out. Annoyance pricked at him. He grumbled, fumbling through his morning routine, feeling a strange sense of loss he couldn't quite name. He was late for the first time in years. Arriving at the office, he expected chaos, a testament to David's supposed incompetence. Instead, he found an eerie calm. On his desk was a single, neatly labeled folder, not from the new temp, but from David. Curious, Robert opened it. Inside wasn't a letter of apology or a desperate plea for his job back. It was a detailed manual, a guide to being Robert Sterling. Page after page, Robert saw his life documented with breathtaking precision. His coffee preferences, timed to the minute. His dietary restrictions, cross-referenced with the menus of his favorite restaurants. The birthdays of his estranged family members, with gift suggestions he'd always taken credit for. There were even notes on how to handle his moods, predicting his stress levels based on stock market fluctuations. David hadn't just been an assistant. He had been the architect of Robert's life, the silent manager of his world, allowing him to focus solely on making money. A note of unease tightened in Robert's stomach. He flipped to the back of the folder. Tucked into a pocket was a worn photograph. It showed a younger, smiling David with a little girl on his shoulders, both beaming with joy. Beside it was a stack of medical bills and hospital letters. The name on the patient forms was Lily, David's daughter. The diagnosis was a rare, aggressive form of cancer. The dates on the bills stretched back for years, a relentless chronicle of a father's desperate fight. Suddenly, the misplaced decimal point clicked into place. Robert remembered the day before. David had seemed distracted, his eyes shadowed with a worry that Robert had dismissed as incompetence. He'd received a phone call, his voice hushed and strained, just before handing Robert the flawed report. He had been juggling his daughter's life-or-death battle while managing the whims of a man who valued numbers more than people. The weight of his cruelty crushed Robert. He had fired a man not for a mistake, but for being a father, for being human. He grabbed his phone, his hands trembling, and dialed David's number. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Voicemail. A cold dread washed over him. He raced out of his office, shouting at his driver to head for the address listed on David's emergency contact from the city's main children's hospital. He ran through the sterile white corridors, his heart pounding against his ribs. He found the oncology ward and scanned the rooms until he saw a familiar figure. David was sitting by a small bed, holding his daughter's frail hand. Lily's was tiny, her head bare from chemotherapy, hair face pale. She was asleep, hooked up to a symphony of beeping machines. David looked up as Robert approached, his eyes filled not with anger, but with a profound, bottomless sorrow. "Mr. Sterling," he said, his voice a hoarse whisper. "What are you doing here?" Robert couldn't speak. The sight of the sick child, the exhausted father, the mountain of unspoken sacrifice had broke him. The billions in his bank account felt worthless, his towering skyscrapers meaningless. He had built an empire of glass and steel, but had a foundation of stone in his heart. "David," Robert finally managed to say, his voice thick with emotion. I didn't know." He reached into his jacket, pulled out his checkbook, and wrote a check, not just to cover the medical bills, but for an amount that would ensure Lily received the best care in the world, for as long as it took. He placed it gently on the bedside table. "This is not charity," Robert said, his gaze fixed on David. "This is an apology, and a long overdue thank you. Your job is waiting for you, if you'll have me. But right now, you need to be here. You need to be a father. David stared at the check, 10 Robert tears finally streaming down his face. They weren't tears of gratitude, but of relief. The release of years of pent-up fear and stress. In that hospital room, surrounded by the quiet hum of machines, Robert Sterling wasn't a billionaire. He was just a man who had almost lost his humanity and, in the process of finding it again, helped save a life. He learned that day that the greatest wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the moments of compassion that connect us all. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that touches the heart.